Destiny social spaces are where we spend a lot of time speaking with vendors, picking up quests, bounties, and managing our inventory. I think it's fair enough to say that I've spent almost as much time in Destiny social spaces as I have actually playing its activities. In Destiny 1 we had 3 separate social spaces, all with a unique purpose for visiting. And in Destiny 2 we have 2 social spaces, one that is sadly completely irrelevant. In 3 years Bungie has yet to add any more social spaces in Destiny 2, whereas in Destiny 1 Bungie had added 2 more by this point in D1's lifecycle. In this video I want to explain why having multiple social spaces is a good thing and discuss their importance to narrative and world building. In Destiny 1 we of course had the tower. Located along the outer wall looking out at the last city, the tower was the headquarters of the Vanguard, home of the Speaker, and the original one-stop shop for millions of Guardians on the daily. Guardians would visit faction vendors, the shipwright, and spend time screwing around at this place we called home. The tower exuded peace in a world surrounded by terrors in our solar system, and at the height of the last city's power, it was defended by 8 total towers manned by the Titans. But over time, we lost our strength, and only this one was widely used as an outpost. The original tower would be the only place we would need, at least for a little while. Then with the House of Wolves DLC, the Awoken were betrayed by the House of Wolves, causing the Queen of the Reef, Mara Sov, to call upon the Guardians for help. She opened the reef and its treasures to the Guardians if they would only help her defeat these traitors. And so, we were given access to the Vestian Outpost. An outpost that allows the Queen and her Awoken to give access to the reef without letting anyone too close to the Awoken realm. The Vestian Outpost served as the place where we would partake in House of Wolves questlines, speak with Varix about the Prison of Elders, and gain passage to the Trials of Osiris with Brother Vance. For the story, it did make a lot of sense to go to the reef. For one, the Queen didn't really like the Vanguard but needed our help, so she invited us to her outpost where she can preside over the quest for revenge much easier. Varix, who oversaw the Prison of Elders, made sense to be in the reef because, well, the Prison of Elders is in the reef. And finally, Brother Vance, who was recruiting for Guardians at the outpost because the last city would never allow the Trials of Osiris to take place there, with the whole Osiris being exiled situation. All of this added up to perfect reasoning for a new social space. The Iron Temple. Located atop Fellwinter Peak overlooking the Cosmodrome, the Iron Temple was a stronghold for the Iron Lords during the Dark Age and the City Age, but would be later abandoned by Lord Saladin after the death of the other Iron Lords. During the Siva Crisis, the fallen House of Devils attempted to plunder the Iron Temple for information related to Siva, but we intervened and stopped them just before they could succeed. Because of this, Lord Saladin reopened the Iron Temple to the Guardians to become Iron Lords themselves and destroy Siva once and for all. The Iron Temple perfectly encapsulated the Iron Lords and their history with every bit of its design. It was full of secrets like the song that could be played with the bells to earn an achievement, placing an Ice and Fire token in the fire to access the Vostok Observatory side of the map, and even being able to climb atop Fellwinter Peak and look out at the incredible view below. You had Lord Saladin himself being the most important vendor handling a majority of the Rise of Iron questline, but also Shiro 4, a scout for the Vanguard tasked with assisting Lord Saladin during this crisis. Tyra Karn, the Cryptarch for the temple who was the lore keeper for the Iron Lords, and of course Lady Aphrodite who would arrive once a month at the temple to hold the Iron Banner event. There was nothing more fitting than to have the Iron Temple be the heart of the expansion focused on the Iron Lords and enacting revenge on what killed them. The addition of these social spaces would add an immense amount of storytelling and world building to the game. Allowing us to interact with a different social hub depending on the content gave that content a bit more depth and meaning. Sure, you had to travel to each destination separately, but I never minded because I felt a part of a truly living world where sometimes not every single vendor just lives at the tower. Sometimes these vendors have their own outposts. With the release of Destiny 2, we had the farm right off the bat, and the farm was awesome. The story reasoning for why we needed the farm was what sold it for me. Following the Red Legion's invasion of the last city causing the destruction of the tower, we took refuge at this little place on the European dead zone called the farm. Located within sight of the massive Shard of the Traveler, the farm was a perfect place to try and rebuild as a base of operations. Over time, I had hoped to see the farm expand. Buildings to be constructed, new areas to explore with secrets maybe, but after just 5 hours of discovering the farm, it was quickly pushed to irrelevancy. Another tower was turned into our new headquarters in the blink of an eye, making the farm obsolete. That was one of the first major disappointments for me in Destiny 2. I didn't even mind losing the original tower as much as I loved it, because the farm was awesome and I was excited to see it flourish and be the new tower of Destiny 2. And I think it's a massive missed opportunity to ditch the farm and throw in a new tower out of nowhere. As for the new tower, it's alright, if not just a little bit too spread out. It has the vendors you'd expect to see and the pretty music, if not a little too upbeat and happy sometimes. But after 3 years of Destiny 2, we haven't seen the addition of a social space, and I don't think we ever will. Bungie seems content to just keep adding new vendors all over the place in the tower. I think one instance where Bungie could have made a really cool social space was with the Drifter. The Drifter isn't necessarily liked by the Vanguard, in fact, you make a choice to choose to side with one or the other, and they don't approve of what he's all about. Bungie could have made a really cool Smuggler's Hideout type social space where people like the Drifter, Ada1, Warner 99, and even Saint 14 could have been. It's just one idea for a social space, but they could do anything really. Tie it in with the story like the Vestian Outpost and the Iron Temple, give us a new place to visit and explore instead of just overcrowding this tower. And let's not forget about the Lighthouse, which is technically a social space in Destiny 1. I always hoped to see it become a staple social space that we could visit anytime and would have vendors. I mean, it was huge and it definitely looked like it could have been, but it remained exclusive to Trials. In Destiny 2, the Lighthouse and the Trials of the Nine space called the Third Spire are more playable spaces than social spaces, allowing for first-person movement and shooting. I do hope that Bungie adds some new social spaces into the game at some point, or at the very least, I would like to see them reintroduce the Iron Temple, seeing how it wasn't destroyed in the Red War, and could still be used for Iron Banner events at least. I miss traveling to different social hubs and the relevancy it had to the story and world building. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys like having multiple social spaces? Do you wish Bungie would have done more with the farm? Let me know your thoughts and ideas for what Bungie could do for social spaces in the comments below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and enjoy the view atop Felwinter Peak.